My name is Chris Vasquez. I'm a voice actor, podcaster, and lifelong Houstonian. But I gotta admit, I don't know the city and what's happening in it as well as I think a Houstonian should. I mean, if someone from out of town walked up to me and asked me what there is to do, I wouldn't know what to tell them. That's what inspired this podcast. I want to clue you in on news, cool events, quirky things our fellow Houstonians do, what the best new food places are, and highlight people that are doing their part to better this city, becoming real-life Houston heroes. This is Houston Happenings. What is up, Houston, and welcome back to another episode of the Houston Happenings podcast. Guys, I'm all about the arts, especially when it comes from my fellow Space City residents. I want to start the podcast off by telling you about True North. True North is an all-volunteer organization that works alongside local Houston artists to showcase their sculptures throughout the Heights Boulevard Esplanade. They've been going strong since 2014 when Gus Popriva and Chris Silkwood came together to devise a plan to more prominently feature art pieces in public. Throughout the years, they've rotated out different pieces by different artists annually and are now in their 7th year. This year, you can find pieces like Bill Davenport's Big Cabbage, which is exactly what it sounds like, and Vincent Fink's Dodecahedron, which looks like something out of the house from that movie 13 Ghosts. If you're interested in checking out these sculptures and many others, the Heights Boulevard Esplanade can be found stretching from White Oak Bayou to 20th Street in the Heights. Find me on social media and let me know which one you guys liked best. Great news, guys! The Houston Zoo has finally announced its grand reopening. After closing due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Houston Zoo will finally be opening its doors again on June 3rd. Like all the other places opening up, they've made safety changes and imposed new restrictions to keep everyone safe while visiting. They've added an abundance of hand sanitizing stations throughout the zoo, including at restrooms and food vendor locations. They're also now requiring online reservations to be made to properly manage capacity and social distancing. Certain high contact areas like the carousel and the water play areas will remain closed for the time being. Online reservations are available now just in time to see the zoo's new addition, the 326-pound baby elephant Nelson. He was born May 12th, which is actually my birthday as well, but hey, I'm happy to share with baby Nelson. Unfortunately, baby Nelson did have some issues when initially born, but after a quick 30-minute surgery, he is expected to make a full recovery. Maybe you can spot him among his 11 brothers and sisters on your next trip to the zoo. So 2 weeks ago, I talked about Axelrad Brewing's unique drive-in rooftop concert. Well, it looks like the drive-in trend is still alive and well. This Friday, May 29th, the Showboat in Hockley, Texas will be hosting a drive-in rave. Featuring music from DJ Riotin, Subdocta, and Bilo, it will work just like Axelrad's concert. You will be able to listen to the music through your car's FM radio. There will be no vendors on site, so you are encouraged to bring your own food and drink, and face masks are recommended for all guests that venture out of their vehicle to the restrooms. In order to take part in the concert, you will need to purchase a car permit for $42.50, which covers the admission for one person. Additional tickets will cost $22.50 a piece, and there is a 2-person minimum and 6-person maximum per vehicle. You can purchase tickets directly from the Disco Donnie website. Now guys, if you've lived in Houston for any amount of time, I'm sure you've heard of the Texas Renaissance Festival, or RenFest for short. Founded in 1974, the Texas RenFest is the largest festival of its type in the nation, spanning 55 acres of land, 500 costumed actors, and hosts 500,000 guests annually. It's kind of a big deal, and it's one of my favorite things to do in one of my favorite seasons of the year. If you haven't been yet, you definitely need to make the trip to Todd Mission, Texas. And to make your decision even easier, the RenFest will be holding its Sale of the Century Saturday, July 18th. This is a yearly thing that they do where you can get discounted tickets for the event early. Normally, you can expect to pay $34 per person at the booth, but through the Sale of the Century, you can get yourself a ticket for $18 flat. No taxes or fees will be added. Keep in mind, they will only be selling 100,000 early admission tickets, which sounds like a lot, but they will go by quick. You can get yours through their website on the 18th of July starting at 8 a.m. Now, I would like to add, purchase at your own risk. We are currently going through an unprecedented pandemic, and there is no telling if this will last long enough to postpone or even outright cancel the Renfest this year. I looked into the return policy, and it really isn't clear one way or the other. I have reached out to them to get a response, and I'll keep you guys updated. I really hope this all blows over by then so I can see all you lords and ladies there. And in this week's restaurant highlight, we're talking about the small, soup-filled pockets of goodness called Xiaolongbao, better known as soup dumplings, specifically the one served at One Dragon restaurant. I had a craving for dumplings nearly a year ago and decided to consult my most trusted source for food recommendations. Her name is Yelp. After scrolling for a little bit, I found this tiny mom and pop shop, and I really do mean tiny. They have maybe 5 tables in their tops, but that adds to the homey feel of the store itself. The restaurant is kind of easy to miss, being tucked away in the corner of the shopping center it's in near Chinatown, and the sign isn't very eye-catching, but that doesn't matter because the food is delicious, guys. Walking in, you'll immediately be greeted by a few servers that'll wave you over to the nearest table. They'll bring over a pitcher of water with lime in it and your dinnerware and proceed to take your order. Be aware, in my experience, the servers weren't very fluid in English, but this can easily be solved by pointing at what you want on the menu. They're extremely good about making ordering as easy as possible. Every time I go, I always make sure to order 3 things. First is the shrimp and pork xiaolongbao. Now, let me further explain what soup dumplings are for those of you that haven't had them before. They're small little balls of goodness. You take a filling of your choice. It could be chicken, pork, shrimp, or veggies, and you stuff that inside a dumpling wrapper, which is a thin sheet of dough. But what kicks the dumplings up to the next level is the innovative way they put soup into these things as well. They'll make a super savory broth and add unflavored gelatin to make it thicken up. They let it sit out and they're left with a flavored sheet of gelatin that they can cut up into small little cubes. Now, these cubes are what goes inside the dumpling along with the filling. When the soup dumplings are steamed, the gelatin cubes melt and dissolve and fill the inside of the dumplings with tasty soup. That's how they manage to pack liquid inside a sealed container. Pretty ingenious in my book, you know. Anyway, I always grab the shrimp and pork because I feel those are the ones that pack the most flavor. One Dragon also has a spin on the dumplings that they offer. They combine the humble pot sticker with a soup dumpling and bam, you get what they call a crispy bottom bao. These are my favorite. You get all the flavor of the soup dumpling, but get a little bit of crunch in your bite as well, and these tend to be a little bigger than the normal soup dumplings, not to mention they're super pretty and will be a great addition to your Instagram feed. And last but certainly not least is their braised pork belly. Man, just thinking about that pork belly is making my mouth water, guys. I'm not joking. One Dragon takes huge chunks of pork belly and braises it with their signature sauce, which is a sort of a sweet and salty concoction. My guess is they mix teriyaki sauce with either soy sauce or molasses, but you get this really thick, rich sauce, throughout the bowl that they give you. The pieces of the pork belly just melt in your mouth. They're super tender. They also throw 4 boiled eggs in the bowl of braised pork belly for you to enjoy. My favorite thing to do is pierce the boiled eggs when we first get the dish so they can soak up all the flavor from the sauce they're sitting in. Guys, I'll be honest, I haven't tried anything else at this place but these 3 items, but judging by the quality of food that we always get when we visit, I'm sure anything they have on the menu will be delicious. Be mindful though, everything that I mentioned will be extremely hot. Give it a chance to cool down or you won't be tasting anything for a few days. The servers are actually really good about warning you that the food is hot as they bring it out to you though, so don't sweat it too much. If you're interested in checking out One Dragon Restaurant, they are located at 9310 Bel Air Boulevard, Houston, Texas 77036. Let them know Houston Happening sent you over, guys. So to close the podcast out, I usually talk about this week's Houston hero. Problem is, I don't really have one. What I'm going to do instead is talk to you about an experience I had while searching for one. I'm going to give you guys a bit of a behind the scenes of Houston happenings. I get my news from various sources, such as news websites, Facebook pages, and tips from friends and family. One of these sources happens to be the Houston subreddit on Reddit. I posted there before when the show first premiered, but I never really got much of a response to my search for good news or Houston Hero nominations, so I just kinda never went back to it and found everything I needed somewhere else. Well, I was getting kinda desperate yesterday because I was writing for this show and still was short one Houston Hero, so I decided, you know what? Let me give Reddit another shot. What could possibly go wrong? So I posted, "Hey Houston, I'm on the lookout for fellow Space City residents that go above and beyond to help the city and its people. While these people don't do what they do for the spotlight, I believe the city needs to recognize their efforts and give them thanks, especially in these trying times we're living in. Know anyone that's out there working hard volunteering? Giving away food to those in need? Someone helping local businesses? I want to hear about it. Let's get the positivity train rolling." I only got a few responses, but the few that I did were overwhelmingly jaded and angry. One person accused me of being an automated bot post. Another person asked if this was for a newspaper, and when I responded by saying that it's for a podcast that wants to focus on positivity in the city rather than what person got shot where this week, they responded by saying, "This sounds cheesy to the point of being gross." I started this podcast with the ultimate goal of lifting others up. I talk about local family restaurants and businesses to try and help drive business their way because I know that struggle. My parents have owned their own taco truck for 17 plus years. They started from nothing after emigrating here from Mexico, and they were able to give my siblings and I a pretty great life simply by selling tacos out of an old Bimbo bread delivery truck at $1 a piece. I try to spotlight local artists and talent because I know that struggle as well from multiple failed YouTube channels and podcasts. I know it's hard to be seen. I talk about what I've come to call Houston Heroes because that is what this world needs more of. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. There is a growing mindset that doing good isn't cool. You are ridiculed, made fun of, or worse, that you are only doing good because of some ulterior motive. This is an extremely divisive mindset to have. We need to change this. We need to stop tearing each other down. Yeah, I'll admit, people responding to me like that on Reddit really bummed me out for a solid 30 minutes. And yeah, people are going to say, well, Chris, it's just the internet. Don't let it bother you. But the fact is, this type of behavior has real effects on the real people behind that username. Why is it that the socially accepted first reaction to someone trying to better themselves or others is to immediately tear them down? I understand. I know that trying to change those people's minds is a lost cause. There will always be angry, bitter people on the internet and in real life. My message here is not to try to sway those people into being better human beings. My message here is to tell you that you should not be ashamed of wanting to be helpful, to be polite, to want to make something out of yourself, to try to start a Houston-based podcast focusing on good news. I am here to tell you that I support you, that I am your number one cheerleader in whatever it is you want to do. Take chances. Be adventurous and live life with a zeal and pride that would only make those people that want to tear you down even angrier. Pursue that dream you have, Queen. Learn that new skill, bro. Because at the end of the day, even if you take that leap of faith and fall flat on your face, you got further than your naysayers ever wanted you to go. That is the attitude of a Houston hero. You have your friends and family, and you have me, to pick you up and dust you off. Those are the people that matter. And yeah, this sounds cheesy as hell, but I don't care, because this is what I truly believe. And with that being said, that's it for me, guys. That is the end of episode 5 of the Houston Happenings podcast. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter as Chris Vasquez_VO. And remember, if you have a story you want to submit or a Houston hero you want to nominate, all you gotta do, it's real easy, guys. Use the hashtag HoustonHaps, that's Houston HAPS, to submit your story and get your opportunity to be featured on the podcast. Once again, guys, thank you so much for listening. Be safe out there and stay Houston strong.